Cool, and we're live. Hey guys, hope everyone's doing okay, as always. I forgot to get my work on. Yeah, hope everyone's doing alright. So, in terms of today's stream, obviously it's a Sunday, so I don't normally stream today. But again, riding the momentum of starting a project, may as well get as much done as I can while I still enjoy it. And, still don't hate it so much. So, in terms of today's stream, the main thing that's bothering me with the project right now is, obviously it's not much of a project, but the main thing that's bothering me is body sculpt. I know that we don't see it, but it doesn't mean I don't have an excuse to try, or to not try. So I want to really kind of revisit the body shapes. Again, a lot of it won't be visible in camera because it'll be covered by clothing I'm going to simulate on top of. But again, it's about learning. It's not necessarily about what's visible in the end. It's about me wanting to kind of improve myself as an artist. So we're going to work on a body. Obviously, one issue with the previous stream is I couldn't really show any reference. So just because I don't know where the line is drawn for nudity on YouTube. Obviously, if the ref has a dick in it, then sure, yeah, it won't be viable for YouTube. But I don't know where that line gets drawn. So to play it kind of safe, I've went and found a couple life drawing examples that obviously won't be photoreal, they're not perfect, but should help avoid the the issues of having nudity on screen. So that's the general plan. So these are the drawings I found that are of like the general body type that I want. So let's just size that up. So yeah, we got this guy who's more ref for the shoulders, really. He's just kind of telling me how all this connects. Again, this isn't going to be perfect. The thing about using life drawing as reference is you're looking at another artist's interpretation, which isn't ideal. But it kind of gives me some ideas for forms that will work. We also have we have this guy, which kind of tells me a little bit about how the side connects to the back, a little bit about the silhouette, the shoulder blade there. Not much about the elbows. This guy's got a bit more build than our guy will. We've got this one, which I think is about the torso I want to go for in the final version. So I'm just going to sculpt that. And then last one, or last two, technically it's two drawings, is this one, which I think I quite like the silhouette of like this little gut. So I'm going to kind of have a go at making this kind of side profile. And again, this one's just a bit more reference about the folds and how all that works. Again, if you're new to CG and you're trying to make stuff look photoreal, I don't really recommend using life drawing as reference. But I'm live streaming this stuff, so I kind of need to find a way to not show nudity on screen, just because I really don't know where the line's drawn. It's not about monetization. My channel is way too small to monetize anyway. But it is about not getting things taken down and not putting that sort of stuff out there anyway. So let's work on it. Canvas, let me just optimize the canvas. There we go. So yeah, I'll keep this on the screen a little bit. I'll probably move it off screen towards the end. And let me just go back to the beginning of the playlist. But yeah, so if anyone has any questions, as always, do let me know. This stream, in terms of technical stuff, it won't really progress past sculpting. I'm not going to be doing any retopology or anything yet, although the next stream will be retopologizing. So yeah, let's just get on with it, I guess. So I think what I might do first is duplicate the body and zero mesh it, so we got a nice low res version. Just go zero mesh, and let's just leave default settings to see what happens. That will make it easier to change the proportions and the forms without breaking everything. So let's solo that. There are times when zero mesh really does impress me. That's done a really not bad job. Cool. Alright, well that's what we're using. Pleasant surprise. I might try lower, maybe. Let's just go a little bit lower. Set that to 2. Obviously that's half, but yeah, it's normally halving it doesn't actually half the poly count because it's adaptive. Hey G1, how you doing? Cool, there we go. Yeah, it looks a bit better. Because the plan for this zero mesh isn't to get usable topology, although this is actually semi-usable. It's not perfect, but it's surprisingly good. The plan is just to have something as a sculpt base. So let's just quickly hide all the other stuff. Yeah, so we just need to go add a few subdivisions. That should be enough. Project and project all. Cool. So now we've got a mesh that has all of those low poly, those high poly details, and we have something nice and low res for changing the overall forms. We'll probably keep dynameshing as we go. I'll keep zero meshing as we go, but we can probably delete this now. Well, maybe it's worth keeping. Yeah, let's keep it for now. Cool. So let's just start getting everything in place. My Wacom's struggling right now. Come on. No, I said plug my Wacom in. Plug it back in. Cool. So let's pick a ref. I think I'm going to look at the front ref for a little bit. Although actually no, the side is what I want to fix first. So we need both of these guys primarily. Because one of my issues is that it's so flat from the side view. So let's just try. I want to try pushing his back out, rib cage in, and maybe give him more of a gut like that. This makes the side silhouette a bit more interesting. Also gives more reason for the sag. I'm also going to have to hide the body for hide the arms for a bit. Okay, let's just map out. Where was that ref? Where is this guy? Come on, there we go. Does Wacom size matter a lot when you sculpt like tablet size? No, not really. I use a Intuos medium that I've had for the last 7 years. Maybe longer. I bought it in... No, I didn't buy it. My mum and Nan both pitched in to get it for me for going to uni, so that would have been 2014. It's the same, isn't it? When I bought it, it was called an Intuos 5. It's now called an Intuos Pro because they've rebranded all their stuff. So yeah, but a medium is all I've been using. And to be honest, in studio life, most people just use Intuos mediums. Like, it really doesn't need to be much more than that. I've never really bought into too much hype surrounding... never really bought into too much hype surrounding Wacoms and different methods. I really don't like the Cintiqs. I know it's a different topic entirely, but really don't like Cintiqs. Personal preference, it's not that they're bad, because they're obviously not. I just don't like them. Shoulder blade's too hollow, isn't it? bit more of a hollow feeling. I really want to reach out to a couple sculptors and get some professional feedback on this guy. Let's do that really over the top spine. Kind of like it. Needs to be wider, doesn't it? So that's the latissimus dorsi we're seeing there. One reason I'm streaming so early is because I keep forgetting to replace the fucking bulb in my room. This entire weekend's been and I've not bought a new light bulb. But basically I can't read at night just because the room's too dark. And one of the things that Becca bought me for my birthday is an anatomy book, and it's really fucking good. But I can't use it during the streams because it's normally too dark. I just keep forgetting to get that bulb. Okay. Yeah, that already looks a lot more interesting. Let's get a little bit of a we need to kind of pull over the bottom of this, right? If I remember correctly. One artist that I really want to reach out to is a guy called Gio Napko. Dude is scary good at anatomy sculpting. Like, he's not better than other artists in terms of anatomy knowledge, because like he obviously knows his shit, but the thing that really separates him from most artists for me is like his approach to form. Like, his stuff is just beautiful, like really fucking gorgeous. And I really want, at some point, his style is the style I want to be able to replicate. If you don't know who he is, I will get some images up in a moment. Because I feel like if you're an artist who doesn't know who Gio Napko is, you're probably doing yourself a disservice. Cool, so we got that in place. Let's smooth that out now. Cool. Those arm folds are really bothering me as well. That's better. Yeah, let's quickly get an image of Gio Napko's work. Early stream, yeah, very early stream. As I said a moment ago, it's just because I can't read the book that I'm using as an anatomy reference in the night, because I keep forgetting to replace the bulb. Let me just quickly look for Gio Napko. See if I can find any of his sculpts on Google. I mean, lots of his sculpts come up, but there's one particular sculpt that kind of blew me away when I saw it. And I feel like it's a perfect example of his work. I mean, all of his stuff is beautiful, but this guy, the way that he sculpts anatomy is just fucking gorgeous. Like, you can feel the muscles like stretching over stuff. And he's just a crazy good artist. And some of this stuff is really old as well, like he's still getting better. But yeah, so he's called Gio Napkill or Giovanni Napkill. Or Nakpil, even. I always call him Napkill. Nakpil. Definitely look into his work. He's incredible. And then you got mine. Personal crisis time. Let's go. Yeah, so let's smooth out some of these shapes. So I'm accidentally making him a bit too built, aren't I? I was tempted to make that same joke, I'm not gonna lie. It's not about the size of the Wacom, it's about how you use it. Alright, so let's go to that front ref, because I really like the shapes on this. If I can replicate these shapes, I'll be happy. So first thing, granted, a lot of these shapes, I can't tell if they're SAG or if they're made up, because this guy's drawing is incredible. But once people's drawings start getting this good, like once people's drawings start getting this good, you know that they clearly know what the fuck they're doing. And when people know what the fuck they're doing, they tend to kind of improvise stuff a bit, just because it's more fun. I mean, I'm the same with grooms. Like, you know, after years and years of doing grooms, I'm still not at the top. I'm nowhere near the top. People fucking destroy me up there, but it's definitely a case of now when I do a groom, I just kind of improvise shit, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It doesn't always look natural, and definitely doesn't always match ref, but it's fun to do. So I could probably say the same about this guy. It's like his work is beautiful, and I could never draw like this. But then it's like, okay, his work is that great, so let's, you know, is he improvising stuff to make it look better? Like, has he learned some beautiful shapes that I don't know enough to pick out? And that always worries me when I'm doing work based on other people's drawings, which is why ideally you don't use people's life drawing as reference, because you don't know how much they improvise. I mean, these shapes I don't feel legit to me, but I'm gonna mimic them anyway, because this guy clearly knows a lot more than I do. So let's just block out some general shapes. Just gonna sketch out some of this stuff. Curious as to how these shapes continue around the side. They seem to follow the ribs to some extent. The lines are interesting, that's for sure. But it's like this line that he's got going from there to the nipple, that doesn't match any anatomy that I know of. Like, absolutely none. Which is why I think he's probably adding some of these shapes out of pure just, you know, what his art style is. Which again, just to make sure I'm not putting across the wrong message, this work is gorgeous, and I wish it could work like this. I just don't trust it. My collarbone's too small. Too consistent in width as well. I feel like I need more volume. Let's try to get some of that. yeah, I've been debating for a little while of reaching out to Gio and asking, you know, would he be interested in like a paid mentorship? Because he's one of the sculptors who I probably look up to the most, to be honest. Like, there's a lot of amazing sculptors I look up to, but for me, he's top of the pile in terms of people who I want to sculpt like. Because he does, like, he can sculpt detail, like, he can really sculpt detail, but it's not his detail that I'm interested in. It's just purely how he approaches forms. I feel like this is a dead end for me. But let's find out. Worst thing we can do is overcommit and then pull it back later. So I may as well keep going with it. Yeah, not too fond in that shape. Yeah, these cage forms aren't working for me. So let's have another play about of these. What can I... I mean, they work from angles like this, which means something is interesting about something about them works. But not well enough for me to commit to them. Maybe if they're more like Wrinkles. Nah, that works even worse. So what else do we have? I mean, I can continue to work on the chest. Is it getting worse? I feel like it's getting worse. Back here. Just one undo. What is it that makes his stuff look so good? Is that working? It's not great, but it's working better than it was. Which means progress. Which means keep it. At least for now. Delete it later. Need to remove a bit of volume from you. And that's where the dimple should go, right? Right, let's see if we can get that chest working. I feel like are his pecs too high? Or too low even? If I lift those up. That feels a bit better. Let's attempt this shape here. And is it worth possibly pulling the deltoids a bit further in? don't want overly obvious nipples, because it gets a bit uncomfortable to look at. I feel like I can get something more out of this area. Obviously this sort of stuff should be done with asymmetry, really, which won't be helping the weird form issue I'm having, where nothing quite fits together. Just wondering, when did you know you wanted to do CG? Would you like to hear the story of how I completely accidentally became a CG artist? I'll assume an answer no and give a short answer, and then if you want me to kind of explain the path I took, then sure. Short answer is I didn't know until I started doing it. I just kind of stumbled into it, to be honest. Granted, I stumbled into it via education. I didn't start doing CG and then realize I liked it. I started doing a course which had CG and realized I liked it. In terms of long story, basically the only reason I do what I do now is because I actually failed college. Or at least I failed my first college. I passed my second one. The first college I was put into, like in high school I did fine, you know, I wasn't a particularly smart student, I just got by. And primarily, I assume, or I hope, primarily because I just didn't revise. Like, I just did not have any passion for it, so I didn't try. So I probably could have done pretty well in school, but I just didn't push myself enough. So what ended up happening over time is, you know, I went through high school and then everyone goes to college. So I went to college and I didn't know what I wanted to do in life. So I decided to do, chemistry, physics and maths. Now, I still didn't care about what I did at the time. So naturally I didn't revise, and I finished a year with 3 U grades, which is the lowest possible grade. Like it's lower than an F. So I basically completely fucked up on like biblical levels, which, you know, wasn't great. Wasn't really the best for my self-worth and all that sort of shit. So I really felt lost after doing that. So naturally I thought the issue was, oh, go to a better college. So I signed up to a different college, and picked the same courses because I'm an idiot. But basically, just before I joined that second college, I got accepted onto the courses because they were like, oh, you know, the college you went to hasn't been proven, so we can't tell if you're graded because of the college or because, you know, you're not doing it right. So I was given the chance to go to this other college, which had a longer history. And basically I went there, but before I went there, my best friend, a guy I've been friends with since I was like 4 years old, he's always been really into art. He's a guy called Dale. Sadly, he doesn't really do CG. He decided to take a different path. But he started this games course in a college called Tameside, called the Tameside Animation and Game Design course, which is why my original YouTube name was Michael TAGD, Tameside Animation and Game Design. But basically he started doing that, and we were just chatting. He was like, oh yeah, it's really cool, you get to like make games and go out and do drawings. And I was like, that sounds like fun. So I thought I'd want to do that, and not because I wanted to do CG, just because I knew I didn't want to do chemistry, physics and maths. Like, I really knew I didn't want to do that. I was just kind of being pushed through it because, you know, my mum really wanted me to do well in life, so she wanted me to get some you know, college courses that give you a bigger future, which, you know, for absolute 99.9% of people, chemistry, physics and maths are definitely more beneficial to do than a game design course. But, you know, I kind of pushed saying, I'm just going to fail college again, like, I don't care about what I do. So eventually my mum was like, okay, we'll apply to this course. And luckily there was 2 places left on the course. So I had my interview for this animation and game design course on the second day of the course starting. So it wasn't even, you know, I'd gone to the other college for chemistry, physics and maths for 2 days. And then at the end of the second day, I got a little phone call saying, you know, we're accepting you onto the animation and game design course. You can start tomorrow. So I left Hyde in a maths class and then never saw them again. And yeah, then I went to do a game design course for 2 years. While doing that, I used Maya, and I did a lot of life drawing. I did a little bit of programming, very low level C# programming, but still programming, and just kind of got to know the process. And after doing that for a while, I eventually, I started to get better and better grades, which kind of gave me a bit of ammunition to say I'm making the right choices, because I didn't know I was making the right choices. And eventually ended up finishing it with distinctions. I think I got the highest grade in the year, but not by much, as someone who's very close behind me. But then I got accepted into Bournemouth University. So I'd been doing CG specifically for games, but I've been doing CG for 2 years before going to Bournemouth. Then did 3 years at Bournemouth, then joined NPC, did 3 years there. Now I'm at Blue Zoo, and so far I think I've done 8 months, maybe 7 months. Depends how you count the months. But yeah, so that's my oversimplified path into CG. So to answer your question, I never knew I wanted to do this. I just kind of ended up doing it, and luckily it worked out. I ended up, kind of taking to it and really enjoying it. And because I really enjoy it, I spend a lot of time doing it. And because I spend a lot of time doing it, I'm getting better at it, which slowly is really helping with all the stuff I used to struggle with. In terms of I used to not really think I'd go anywhere, to be honest. But life's working out pretty well. I just, I trusted my gut, and my gut was telling me, you like games, go do a game course. It's not even a good reason to join. I joined because I enjoyed video games. And was like, how bad could it be? And little did I know I was putting myself through a lifetime of torture using Maya. But, that's what it is. It's a bit of a fun path. Definitely not a standard one, I don't think. Most people who go into CG tend to know they want to do art-based work. This random patch is super hollow. Which I guess the moral of that overall story is, if you feel like you're failing, something else will work out. Because the only reason I do this is because I failed my course. I got the lowest possible grades in courses that I thought would get me somewhere in life. If I didn't fail those, I probably would have continued, and then I don't know what I'd be doing now. Possibly still be working as a bike mechanic, who knows. Because the only job, I've had 2 jobs before I did CG. I volunteered for a children's charity for, I think, 6 months, 7 months, Bernardo's. Worked in a store, just kind of sorting clothes and that sort of stuff. Not exactly the most fun stuff, but volunteering, work experience, all that sort of stuff. Did that for 6 months. And then I joined Halfords, where I was a bike mechanic and bike builder for about, how long was that? About 2 years? A year and a half? Something like that. And then my next job after that was in NPC as a groom artist. So I feel like this line should be straight, right? That's how muscles work. So let's try to... There we go, it's feeling better. Got 10 viewers. This stream's a bit more popular than usual. What the fuck happened? Let me just quickly check. Cool. Alright, so I have no idea what this shape is, but it's really cool looking. So let's work on this guy a little bit. Hey Brahim, how you doing, man? Should find some reference for arms. Let's get some more convincing wrinkles because these ones are pretty bad. Pretty sure one of the references I picked up earlier was pretty good for arm wrinkles. Which one was it? Was it this one? I mean, I kind of like the shapes, but it doesn't feel particularly nice. Let's get some lines going down. One thing I find has helped it. Oh my Jesus! I swear English is my first language. One of the things I found kind of helped my sculpting is to not really think of it the same way I think of drawing. So like when you do a lot of life drawing, for example, tutors normally tell you like, okay, long gestural lines are the goal. Like you don't want to do what they call chicken stepping. So let's say you got like a curve that's like that. What a lot of beginner kind of artists do is they kind of sketch it. Like they'll do a bunch of straight lines. I'm talking like with pencil drawings, and you end up with something like this. And the goal of life drawing is to slowly get it into gestural lines, maybe lines with rhythm, as Gustave Dore would say. So, you know, it's something to kind of think about. It's like, you know, you got this rhythm stuff, but you're always told to avoid this chicken stepping because it normally feels it just feels horrible and sketchy, which, you know, some art styles work with. But something I slowly realized is in the world of sculpting skin, that chicken stepping, if you combine it with gestural lines, is quite helpful. So what I mean by that is having one line that goes and defines an entire wrinkle will never really feel that great. But if you have one line that kind of, you know, flows, but then you've got another one that kind of breaks away from that, you end up with something much more interesting. You don't want to do chicken stepping in terms of lots of little straight lines because that will never feel right. But having, you know, just little bits that kind of breaking off from it will tend to feel a bit more natural, at least in my opinion. And I'm, again, not a professional modeler. I'm more of like in line with hobbyist in terms of modeling skill set. Professional modelers kind of wipe the floor with me, and it's quite funny. At least the modelers I've worked with are scary good. So let's we need to extend that a little bit. I'd have to go higher res to get that, wouldn't I? 6 million polygons. But this is where you can see that kind of sketchy, flowy line thing coming in. I find it adds quite an interesting shape to skin folds. And the key is that it's still sketchy, it's still flowy lines, it's just multiple flowy lines that overlap each other. Tends to give something, granted I'm overdoing it right here, but for demonstration effect. I just realized I haven't saved like this whole stream. So let's save. And let's just increment that a little bit. So I've got 8 people watching at the moment. Obviously not everyone has messaged the chat yet, so you know, who are you guys? Are you people who've watched before, or new people, or? So I quite enjoy the streams. Like, obviously I enjoy streaming, that's why I do it, but I enjoy the ones where I get to kind of interact quite a lot more. They're just more fun for me. Granted, you don't have to talk if you don't want to, but there we go. So, belly, what's going to go on down here? 'Cause this is kind of messy. So, this guy is a lot more frail than what I intend. So let's take everything here with a pinch of salt. He's really separated the heads of the deltoid. Like, this is mental. He seems to almost have separated the middle head completely from the anterior? I think it's anterior. Or superior. Whichever one this is, like, he's added this separation. Which doesn't really make much sense, but let's give it a go. So you got the middle head doing that, pretty much. So he's adding a little bit of a separation here. So let's just fill that in slightly, just so it's more of a depreciation rather than a hole. Not too keen on it personally, but it's worth trying. I may have to go on another reference hunt to find some real ones on my other screen. Brush, auto masking, like face mask. Could be worth. Notice some people get these really like pushed in chests. Could it be worth playing about with that? Oh, where it's completely like pushed in the middle. Kind of interesting. Something feels so wrong about this shape now, though. So let's go back to that front raft because it was interesting. Actually, do I want any of these shapes? The top of his scapula is really visible, which is kind of interesting to look at. Oh, we do need to fix the face as well. Face is feeling a bit weird. Eyes do not feel good from that angle. Let's consult Big Boy Ref. So obviously there's all the asymmetry to do, but maybe if we add some... This is the bit that's making it feel weird, I think. Getting that. Today's episode of making up anatomy shapes that look cool. Which is a bad habit. I should probably stop doing this. Just blend in the bottom. See if this having this shape helps. I don't think it does. It's pretty bad, to be honest. Let's take that out. Right, so let's have a quick look at his throat. Do you have any references that might be helpful for that? This is not a helpful ref. I'm going to search old man neck. Old man neck. So this should be a relatively safe Google to show on screen. I'm going to put my ref on screen now. I can show it back on ref if I need to talk about anything. So, images. I want someone who has quite a visible Adam's apple. Why, when you search old man, is there so much CG work? There is so much. Like, old man existed before ZBrush, right? People know that, right? Huh. That's a really interesting body. I wonder what this is. Like, anatomically. So these completely supersede the actual Adam's apple, so I need to do that. They go straight past it, they don't care. Whereas mine stop at the Adam's apple. Again, the importance of finding good ref and not just relying on what you think you should see. That means the Adam's apple needs to go back. You can use Yandex visuals. There is better results. I've never heard of that, but I'll give it a search. Also, thank you. Is it Inez? Inez? I think so. Let me search Yandex visuals. Old man neck. Oh yeah, this is pretty cool. Yeah, thank you for the shout. That's good. Yeah, that goes from 3DSK. Yeah, it's helpful. I'm going to put that back in over there. And just have a quick pass on the sculpts. Yeah, also welcome to the stream. So I don't think I've seen your name here before. So yeah, welcome. Hope you like it. If not, then that's a shame, but not much I can do. Just let me know what works, what doesn't. Just completely cancel that out for a moment. So, I have definitely overdone this guy. Let's resculpt the throat. Let's take that out for now. Cool, so what other shapes am I missing? I'll try to get some block out. Obviously there's all the wrinkles that do like that stuff, but I'm not really going to worry about that too much. Let's place something, but it really doesn't matter that much. Symmetrical wrinkles will never not look bad. Better. What about the back of the neck? I feel like I need to combine the head and the neck soon, or the head and the body soon. Let's just thicken that out a little bit. Definitely looking a lot better than it was before. Too many wrinkles in the neck though. Or too many deep wrinkles in the neck, so let's loosen that out a bit. And sculpt these in a little bit more. There's something about the ears that still doesn't work for me. I can't really pin what it is. There's something about this side view. Granted, they're still pretty unrefined, but like at this point of the sculpt, they should be reading about right. Go back to that. I feel like this should be lower. Something missing back here. Should I try adding somewhat visible ribcage stuff? YouTube so I can see. How come you switch poly count when you sculpt? Does it make a difference? Yes, it makes a huge difference. So let's, for demonstration's sake, pick this area. So let's say I wanted to sculpt a little S right here, right? And now let's just add a few details to it. So let's add a little circle there, a little line through there, little square there, and a little thing there. So let's say this was a detail we wanted to keep. And let's say now I want to add volume here. So one thing I can do is obviously add volume like that. And let's say I then change that, continue to change it, continue to change it. Over time, this will get distorted. If I was to go in with a more destructive brush, let's say I wanted to go in with clay buildup because I prefer to use that to sculpt, then that would instantly start to disappear. Like we're just being left with lines now, just after two little sculpts like that. So one thing you can do is if I go down to division levels and sculpt out with clay buildup here, then hit divide, it still rebuilds it to have the same volumes, as long as those original polygons don't affect it too much. So it's basically like sculpting down at a lower subdivision level gives you more control to not accidentally delete details you've sculpted. So stuff like that really comes into strength with like Wrinkles. I guess a better place to demo that would be like here. So let's say I didn't want to remove these wrinkles, but I wanted to add a ton more volume here. Again, sculpting that destroys it. Going down to the lowest subdivision level, doing it there, and then putting it back in, you've still got your wrinkles. Which actually, that might have been a good thing to do. Yeah, I'm gonna keep that. Let's just reduce it a little bit though. That's why sculpting Dynamesh isn't always the best way. I do recommend kind of learning to, use subdivision levels properly. So I need to check the anatomy in this area, because I think this is the area that's weakest right now. Like here. So let me get my magical book, The Atlas of Human Anatomy for the Artist by Stephen Rogers Peck. It is really, really nice. So let's see if I can find the shoulder. I need to look at the muscle anatomy, because I simply don't know enough of what's going on. That's the hand. So just looking. Can you share your playlist? Sure, man. Let me just get into here. Share. Copy playlist link. And paste that in here. It's just Spotify. It's not my playlist. It's just a playlist of royalty-free lo-fi. Where's the shoulder? Hands. Well, that's a helpful image. Okay, let me quickly sculpt some stuff on the back. Oh wait, I can't put that there. Man, I need a bigger desk. Right, put it on the floor and glance down to it. That's why that stretches over. As of, I've also massively overestimated the reach of this guy. There's something going on over here as well. So, next bit. Right, so got my body working now. Let's push that a little bit further. Shall we see if we can fix the eyes? Let's see if we can fix the eyes. I'm just going to search old man eyes. And I'm just looking at these images purely for how the skin wrinkles. Like if there's any shapes I can take as inspiration. So let's address the corner of the eyes, because one of the problems at the moment is he feels weirdly youthful for an old guy. Like there's something about his eyes that feels almost childlike. I need to get to the bottom of that. Granted, part of it is that his eyes are so wide open. Although I have possibly just figured out one of the things causing it, which is that might have been that. That helps a bit. It's not perfect though. So let's continue to sculpt the corners of the eyes, maybe. Just make that feel a bit older. We will be retopologizing in the next stream, which will probably be Tuesday. Because I don't want to get in the habit of streaming every day. I hate that glitch. But yeah, we want to start retopology soon. Because there's no point like pushing through too many of these sculpting sessions before I've got topology in there, because the likelihood is we lose and have to resculpt a lot of this stuff. these kind of continue. Using clay build-up to kind of sketch wrinkle locations. What we're going to do is add a little bit of weight to the bottom of each wrinkle to kind of make it feel like something's sagging. When I say a little bit of weight, I mean just like a little bit extra volume just above the wrinkle. And that'll help it feel as if something's kind of, you know, bunching up around it. This area is going to be completely chaos. This area you tend to get a lot of crisscrossing because you've got wrinkles going that way, like towards the bag. And you got wrinkles going this way away from the eyelid. So you end up with a lot of crisscrossing shapes. Check on YouTube. Oh, missed a comment. Do you always divide the sculpt in different parts and then merge it together with Dynamesh, or leave it as different subtools? Kind of varies depending on the asset. So in the case of this guy, the body is going to be completely hidden by cloth sim, so there's no point taking it as high poly as this. So I'll probably keep them separate for a long time. Might merge at the very end just before I send it for retopology, because once I start retopologizing it, I can get that difference in topology density. Granted, you can do that with Zero Mesher as well, but I tend not to like doing Zero Mesher too much because the face tends to get butchered by asymmetry, so I don't like relying on it too much. Yeah, there's something that a small clay build-up gives. I can't put my finger on what it is. Because it's not an accurate form, it's just an interesting nature to it. Something feels really weird about that bit too. Let's a bit more volume there, maybe. Good enough. This area is still not working. Why is that area not working for me yet? What's the name of that site again? Yandex Visuals. I need to remember Yandex Visuals. Yandex Visuals. Old man chest. Oh my Google. No, this isn't Google. And most of these people having heart attacks. Interesting. Well, actors having heart attacks. And zebra skulls. What is it about searching old man that just makes the internet think, oh yeah, you clearly want zebra skulls? Let me search old man chest skinny. Still ripped people. It's crazy the differences. So I know again I've not got stuff on screen, but it's not always worth having stuff on screen when you're searching for reference. Okay, I'm gonna try to see if we can improvise some interesting looking parts. So let's get this back on screen and let's have a look at this one. Is probably the most relevant. So size this way the fuck down. Put you there. So, elements we have to capture. There's a little bit of something there. Get a little bit of a mound. You can see it just there. Above that is not really much. There's not much happening up here. Should I have the muscle fade into that bit? It's like the skin is just completely loose there. Also, I'm having really bad deja vu right now. Like really bad deja vu. Let's get some muscle fibers going. It feels a bit better, but it still looks a bit too made up. Kind of off topic, what do look dev artists do specifically? It changes a lot from studio to studio, because the term look dev has a traditional meaning, and well, I say traditional. It has two different meanings. So look dev, as in shading, is like normally the most common. So what look dev is when you call it look dev. That'll become clear while I'm emphasizing that so much in a moment. The reason, look dev does shader writing basically. So they make, if you know what a shader is, then that's kind of all you need to know. If you don't know what a shader is, it's basically where you get a polygon model and you assign a material that kind of makes it feel like skin or plasterboard or bricks or whatever you need. And that's when you find look dev jobs online, that's more often than not what it means, is doing shaders. However, look development can also include things like concept art and that sort of stuff. So it gets kind of confusing because look dev and look development can often be kind of abbreviated to each other, or not abbreviated, but kind of, you know, people think they're equivalent, which they are in a lot of cases, but not always. It's like Blue Zoo, for example. I'd say we're more look development than we are look dev, even though our roles say look dev. Because we do a lot of kind of R&D stuff for the studio. I can't go too much into detail, just because I don't want to give away information that isn't public. This area is a bit too muddy. Just remove a few forms to simplify this middle bit. Let's quickly compare new to old. Again, too symmetrical, but I think for this side. This one's interesting, but it's a bit much. Although, there is something to this. Yeah, let's keep this one. Oh, I see, but why is it so related to lighting? I'd be curious as to the context in which you're asking that question. In terms of why they're so linked, think of it this way. If you put a light bulb in a white room, and you put that same light bulb in a black room, it's going to look completely different. Or let's say just a dark room, not a black room. You know, that light will have more or less effect based on what material. Let's say you go into a room and the walls are made of charcoal, and you go into a different room and the walls are made of marshmallow. Even though they're the same walls, that light, the same walls and same light, because they're a different material, you're going to get completely different interactions with the light. So now let's apply that a bit more directly. Let's say you've got a character that you need to make, and you make the shader really reflective. Let's say you give it really shiny skin. Well, now the lighting team can't use super bright rim lights because they will blow out all the time. Whereas if you make the character really like absorbent, like you want it to basically soak up all the light that hits it, then the lighting team have to do much brighter lights to kind of compensate for that now. So if that makes sense, that's basically the reason. Lighting and look dev tend to have a very close working relationship. Let's add form soft. Thanks. Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. I need to simplify these. By the way, your V-Ray shader tutorial on ArtStation helped me doing my assignment. Nice. Glad you found it helpful. I actually wrote that tutorial like years ago now. When did I write that? I think I wrote it in like 2016. So a lot of it is outdated now, to be honest. It's less of a V-Ray shading tutorial, more of just a here's the mindset to shading. At least my mindset at the time. My approach hasn't fundamentally changed, but there is a few differences now. I should probably rewrite some of my tutorials at some point. Kind of update them with some more modern knowledge and a few extra years of experience. Which is the more important bit, I think. This is too much. Just trying to find the forms that need simplifying the most. Bit more interesting. Something's still not quite working about this area. Let's fill that out a little bit. There we go, that's better. See, normally at this point I'd move on to etymology, but I've specifically told myself I'm not going to do retopology tonight, and I do want to continue working on him for a little bit, so I don't really fancy ending the stream right now. Because I feel like at this point I've got the forms fairly figured out. Like I know at least a little bit of what I want. It feels like a clothing pin. Let's see if I can rectify that bit. This is like my favourite song at the moment. It just makes me so happy. This bit's too low. This is more square. I've realised what was really messing with me. That's working a bit better now. I just realised something. If I go down to low poly, what would the cloth brushes do? That is not what I want. Interesting. Looks like a Junji Ito monster. Cloth wind. Cloth nudge. It's just doing the same as other brushes are there? Cloth pull. How are any of these cloth brushes? I mean, that's a nice brush, but it's not a cloth brush. Feels like it'd be really nice with skin detailing though, that. It gives like a nice inflated feel around everything you do. Let's just quickly save this guy. And let's do a render test. So, we will hide you because you've not changed, and we will merge visible. .8 million polygons. Cool. Let's just go to, well, I guess actually, no, we'll keep that. C plugin. Decimation master. And let's set this to 5%. Decimate current. Oh yeah. Preprocess current. Leave that to do its thing for a bit. It's struggling with us, that's for sure. Reordering. Okay, so it should be done soon. Hey mate, what do you think will, when do you think you'll re-topologize the new video model? In the next stream. Oh, that's finished. Cool. Yeah, I'll be starting re-topo in the next stream. I mean, strictly speaking, I could have started earlier, but I just kind of wanted to keep learning That is not. Wait, what? I've never seen that before. Okay, let's try. Let's just quickly pre-process that again. Is there a particular reason you're asking in terms of retopo and new views? If there's any questions, I can talk about them now. If this decimation doesn't work, I'll decimate all the pieces separately, then merge them. %, 97, 98, 99, and reordering. No, that's my water. Technically, I need to make a version of him with closed eyes to make the retopology a little bit better. Right, so decimate current. Okay, this time it worked. Weird. 400,000. Cool. Although I might give it a little bit more. Let's go to 10. I'll say a little bit more. Literally double the amount. Decimate current. There we go. Hey Kosi, how you doing, man? Cool, so let's export this. Exports, period decimated. And so we're going to get into Maya. Let's bring that to the screen. Just give Maya a moment to open. Come on. So, modeling Maya. So when I open this, it should automatically load the latest sculpt, because it's referenced in. Apparently not. Reference editor. Huh. Where'd the reference go? So let's quickly check the render cam. That's not the material I want. Is it this one? Yep, and then we need to reference in. Add another reference, this one bring in the cap. And this should have the other material. There we go. I feel like I should correct the volumes here, because I know part of it is pose, but his like breast is kind of sitting a bit lower, as in like, you know, it's hanging out more. You can see a bit of a form change here. Part of that is because he's got his shoulders forward though. Might be worth fixing now though. Let's go do that then. Yeah, it's kind of sitting out. Maybe the ribs need to come in more. Just there. Oh, there's the other one. This is why reference is important. Finding interesting images. It's not perfect by any stretch, but it's so much better. Right, so chest. Let's add a little bit more volume to this guy. And in the process, let's just quickly delete this. Keep the old one, because that's kind of helpful to have, just as reference. But let's that's a body. That's a lowest poly. Just add a ton more volume here. Remove a little bit from under there. How can we concentrate so much on something that's going to be covered by cloth? Because I'm treating this project not only as a final image, but also as a learning process. So I feel like I don't understand enough about body sculpting. So this needs to be more filled in now. Yeah, it's as much anatomy study as it is just practice. I don't feel like I do enough anatomy sculpting. Chest has drifted too low again, hasn't it? So I feel like I need to hollow out this a little bit. Oh. To make it feel less like an actual boob and more like a guy who's got saggy old skin. Need to definitely relax this as well. Can't make sense of this shape. That reads better. Sometimes you really do just have to commit to the ref. This needs to continue the whole way under, doesn't it? Iggy Pop might be. That is a really good shout. I'm gonna give him a Google. Iggy Pop. He's more muscular than what I want, but he does have that kind of skin quality, you're absolutely right. Yeah, Iggy Pop's skin is super interesting. This area doesn't work yet. Let's find that image again. I had the perfect image not too long ago. So let's just quickly... This is too defined, isn't it? I feel like I'm crossing into a new point now with the sculpt where I'm looking at it purely visually again, which is good because it means I'm not as blind to the shapes I was fucking up before. Which I guess is something that's kind of interesting to talk about, is like, as a sculptor, your biggest temptation will always be to sculpt kind of what you think you see, which is a really weird kind of it's a weird place to work, because the thing is, unless you're a master, your sculpting isn't going to be at a level where you can just improvise anatomical shapes and get away with it. Let me just quickly add that in there. And again, like, you know, that's what I sculpted originally, and I did have some ref, but I feel like I was probably thinking of it too much as a sculpt rather than actually trying to replicate something. And when I say looking at stuff purely visually, I think the chest has actually come too high up now. When I say you're thinking of something purely visually, I mean that in like I don't see this as 3D shapes right now. I'm seeing it purely as a bunch of lines representing different wrinkles. Like, I'm not looking at very specific shapes right now. Or I am looking at very specific shapes and I'm literally just like, oh, well, you know, here we've got this little divot, wonder what that is. Well, that looks like it's about here. So, okay, how do we get that? And it's, you know, just piece by piece, we kind of, you know, fill that in until eventually we got something that works. Granted, my guy is saggier than him, and I feel like this area down here should be different. Like, maybe that might help. And then that shape should continue like that. This wrinkle is really... Oh, is that the same wrinkles there? On him it's much rounder though, it's more like that. And there's like a little bit tight skin that's kind of stuck in there a little bit. And this little divot thing that's going on. Also this skin, that could be interesting to kind of replicate. rib cage has possibly moved too much. Again, like I'm using that old one just to see, like, you know, obviously this one, I'd say pretty objectively is better than the old one. I mean, it should be, we spent more time, but we can also use the old one to be like, oh, well, actually the volume here is interesting, whereas the volume here is a bit too sunken in. So we can just use that as ref. Just pull that in. And then, there we go. Granted, they're in a slightly different pose. Mine's got more of a S-shaped tone. I think that'll do. How long have we been streaming for now? It's almost 8. I started at close to 6, so 2.5 hours, roughly. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna get this guy exported, and that'll be it for the end of the stream then. So let's just save over 10. Yeah, I think that's worked out pretty well. I think the neck is actually one of the things that helps the most. Cool, so let's merge visible. And let's just double check I've saved. So, close, well, we need to save this actually. Save, so it's got our full layout again. Close. And then merge visible. Cool. And go see plugin. Preprocess current. I'll leave that to do its thing for a moment. Reordering. Again, 42 gig of memory free. That means 20 gig of my memory is currently being eaten. What the fuck? Cool. So Z plugin, decimate current. It's done that again. What the fuck? Preprocess current again. Love handles seem to merge with the stomach. What, sorry? So I'm just waiting for the thing to be finished. Cool, it's finally finished. Right, hopefully it works this time. There we go. Weird how that keeps happening. You mean this bit? How they've kind of merged together. Let's just export that. Cool. And let's just get back into this and reload the reference. Where are you? Reference has that, there we go. Reference, reload reference, and then we'll update the sculpt to be the latest decimated version. There we go. For some reason that lost the material as well. Also everything gained a new namespace. Interesting. Cool, so save Steam. Yeah, I can definitely check that out. Oh, hello. I've never seen that before. That's a fun one. Invalid render region. I don't have a render region. Is Maya about to die? Let's just kill Maya and reopen it. Now I'll end the stream and go play some video games or something. What the fuck is going on here? Okay, that's interesting. Time to delete Maya prefs. Yeah, something's broken. Interesting. That rendered at 540. Oh, an IPL's gone. Huh. I've never seen that before. Let's try a new scene. Alright, looks like Maya shit itself. So what I'll do, I'll delete the preferences and render. There's no point doing that on stream. So I'll end the stream here, and then at the beginning of the next stream, I'll show the render from the end of tonight, whenever I get that working. But yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed it. Definitely feel like I've made some fairly decent progress. I mean, it's still not perfect, but it's a lot nicer. Definitely a lot more in the ballpark of what I want. These are too strong, but I kind of like them in a way. But yeah, so I'll end the stream here, and hope you guys have a good night. And next stream we'll be doing read topology, maybe doing UVs as well, depending on how far I get in terms of what's the words? How far I get in terms of read topology. Probably won't get far enough to do UVs in the same stream, but that's what we'll be doing. So that should be on Tuesday. I doubt I'll do it tomorrow. And yeah, we'll get started on retopo on mainly the head, then work down to the body, and at some point do the ears. That's going to be a fun one. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your night, guys. Bye bye.